Hey guys, welcome. This is Ryan's record review or Rye's record review. You can call me whatever there. That's one of the nicknames. We're going to go ahead and get started with some good music reviews. Nick and I through Toad Hall. I have Nick here. He is the owner of Toad Hall, as most of you know through his YouTube channel. He's a good man, but him and I have been friends for a long time, and we kind of had this idea about talking about some different styles of music and different albums and artists that are coming out. Our music industry is so large nowadays with the ability to post your own music, record from home. You really don't need your traditional record label or recording studio to put your music out there. And it's opened up a lot of new artists and a lot of different styles of music. And we figured this would be a good chance to kind of open some of your eyes on some different albums that are coming out that aren't quite the mainstream styles of music. And I'm hoping that we've kind of maybe get you hooked on a couple new artists. In fact, the artists we talked about this week, or we're going to talk about this week, quickly made it into my playlist pretty regularly. But cool. I have Nick here. He is the owner of Toad Hall. Nick, you and I go way back. How long have we known each other, really?
Oh man, I think we were friends. I think we met in kindergarten.
Mm-hmm. I think so. Yeah.
So I mean, we grew up. It's for those of you who watch the channel all the time, you know me. Ryan's basically my best friend growing up.
Yeah.
So we've grown up together. He's been in numerous bands. I pretty much hung around through most of that through high school. Sure. Ryan now lives in Arizona, so this is a good way for us to like hang out, discuss music.
It's kind of a selfish way to hang out, really. We were like, well, what could we do to hang out? Well, let's review some albums and help you out at the store too. So
that'll be fun.
Works out great. This is something, Nick and I and a group of our friends, we're very passionate about is music and entertainment and video games and movies. And we've spent numerous times and hours. I still have memories of going to shows, playing shows, and then going out and eating afterwards and just talking about the bands that we played with and, and just
steak and shake, baby.
Yeah, steak and shake after movies and shows. And, there's something about local music and kind of not the mainstream style of music when you see an artist that is working hard and doing everything they can to put their message out there in the world. The recognition doesn't always get there. And, with the new age YouTube and the way you can push your stuff out there, it tends to get watered down and a lot of good artists kind of get lost in the mix. So this week we're going to talk about an artist. He goes by Grandson.
Yep.
And Nick, I know, there's the album right there. The album's called Death of an Optimist.
Yep.
I think it was a great album. So I know he's not brand new to the scene. He's had a few other things that he's put out before. Nick, I know you've kind of a couple of those titles there for us.
Yeah. So this is his first full length. So for those of you maybe who aren't familiar with him, he's 27 years old, so he's pretty young. New to the bigger scene. Had 3 EPs before this, and then this is his first full record. So, and he's on Fueled by Ramen, which is I think ironic because that's
So Fueled by Ramen. Because I saw that too when I looked him up. He's on Fueled by Ramen. Fueled by Ramen has a special place in my heart, I think, because when we were growing up, they were the label that just kind of signed anybody. I don't want to say like anybody in a bad way. I meant anybody in the sense of here we have an influx of musicians and influx of music, and let's be that label that gives everybody an opportunity to make a name for themselves. And a lot of great bands have come from Fueled by Ramen, a lot of great artists.
I'm thinking the Chicago, like obviously, Ryan's band opened up for Fall Out Boy. So, the Academy is all those like Warped Tour bands.
Yeah.
Like that whole pocket that was hot in the Chicagoland area, as well as like the Warped Tour scene that was larger than that. Heavily fueled by Ramen. I mean, that was absolutely a heavy label for that. So to see them sort of come back and see like some of these artists on Fueled by Ramen come back to life is really kind of like, oh my gosh, like it's full circle. It's coming right back around.
It's coming right back around because that's the great thing about music is it never dies. It just continues to to go, and it just continues to kind of pump through these ups and downs of the music world. But let's go ahead and talk about this album a little bit. Nick, what did you think? I've listened to it now basically nonstop for the last week and a half when we first started when we decided that we were going to do this album. We haven't talked about it yet. I've kind of purposefully not messaged you because I want to see what you have to say about it. So what did you think? Starting with the first few tracks.
So we purposely, first of all, this record, the reason why the only song I had heard off of it was Dirty, which is the first single off the record, and why I brought it into the store. So that one song was enough for me to bring it to the store. So after that, I was like, well, I don't know what the rest of this record sounds like. Let's review it. So I think we're going to kind of keep that going forward. Like, I'm going to pull records that, like, some of the times we might know them, but like this time it was like, and I think the next one, I know who the artist is, but I don't know. I haven't heard the album yet. So we're just going to try to go at it with like an open ear kind of thing.
Absolutely.
First time through, not a fan. It was harsh. It was like loud. It was
abrasive. It's abrasive.
It's abrasive. The first time through, I was like, I fucking picked a bad record. I was like, how are we going to review a record that I don't like?
Well, and it's funny that you said that, because my initial notes on my first time listening was, it's abrasive. It felt like it was meant to make you uncomfortable. Like, it was almost like he wanted to make you feel uncomfortable with the breakdowns, the tones, the method that he used with his voice to make it almost, I don't want to say robotic, but I mean, look, if you're looking for a vocal album with 3-part harmonies and things like that, this is not what you're going to get.
No.
I got a very, very abrasive, and he was in your face kind of vibe with it. Even the first time through, I was like, he says the word optimist a lot throughout the album. And I was like, that seems lazy writing to me at first. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
My first time through, I remember taking the headphones off and going, that was tough. It was tough because not only is the whole concept of the album is very political, which again is a touchy subject in today's world, but I think that he went about it in a very smart way, because he didn't really push a narrative. He kind of, to me, it took the angle of, I'm a 27-year-old. This is how I was raised. This is what I was raised to believe. Now I'm in this world that does not match with what I was raised, or how I was raised.
Yeah.
And here I am. And he kind of retraces his steps based on the beginning, and worked his way all the way to where he's at right now. The overall album had a really good arc to it, the more I listened to it. It starts off with Death of an Optimist, I believe is the first title, or that's the intro.
The intro.
Yep. And it kind of builds up this, okay, how's, the thing about an album for me is the first track of the song really sets the tone, or really first track of the album sets the tone. And I really dug that first song.
Are you talking about the intro, or are you talking about the In Over My Head?
In Over My Head hooked me, man. It's got this Devo. I talked to Lee Bags about it a little bit, and he said it's kind of got like a little Devo feel to it a little bit, with kind of like a new age hook to it. And it kind of starts you off on this high note, and it really gives you a roller coaster. So that song Dirty, though, that's his big song off the album, correct?
Yeah. So a few stats about kind of the record. So Dirty made it to number 6 on the Canadian rock charts. So it's a pretty catchy tune. Sure. It hit number 10 on the US alt charts. And I think, although I understand why that's the number 1 single, I think, and if anyone's out there watching this, I think there's another single to be had on this album.
I think there's a couple.
I think In Over My Head is one, but I think Left Behind is the number 2 single.
Okay.
Because that was after Dirty. I think Left Behind was my next favorite song. And that's fourth track on the album. So the whole album comes out hard. Like it comes out high energy.
Yeah.
Like after you listen to it a few times, it's high energy, almost like Saturday night we're going out to have fun songs.
Sure.
Like
sure.
the first
Almost like you
4 or
don't have
5
a care in
songs.
the world.
Yeah, it's fun.
And that's kind of the vibe I got is as a kid, because in that first song, In Over My Head, he talks about as a kid, you know, he thought, even he says in his lyrics, I thought the bad guy always dies and the good guy always wins. And like you have this kind of carefree thought about how the world works. And he captured that in that first song. And then as he goes through the album, he kind of goes through these small realizations that, you know, if like that song Dirty really is like a challenge to people. Like, you know, are your hands dirty? Are you really doing what you can to make the world a better place or make your area or your life better? You know, he really challenges you to think about how you live your day-to-day life. And he kind of has these realizations that kind of peak in the song World War III. Now, the song World War III is kind of like the climax of the album to me. Here he talks about joining the military, being the age at which, if there is a World War III, look, I'm the person, my generation is the one that's going to be fighting these wars. And we have no control, no matter how, you know, that song Dirty plays right into that. We can do all this good and I can do all these good things, but I'm really not making that much of a difference. And that's like a realization that he has. And that song World War III, you know, it clicked in my head at that song. First off, that song ends awesomely. The ending to that song is so heavy. It's got a cool kind of like a metal version feel to kind of like an electronic song. It's got almost like a post-hardcore kind of
riff
beat to it and riff to it. It's got a guitar sound that kind of reminded me like a punk rock Rammstein from Germany.
That's
just
what
like
that is.
It's kind of like a machine kind of feel to it. That song to me reminded me of like a Broadway play. Like it reminded me of a character singing in a Broadway play, going into battle. You know, I'm trying to wash my hands. They'll never get clean. And then he whispers that I'm going to walk around and start World War III. And then it kicks into this ending with this awesome metal riff. And it just, I remember listening to that first time going, hell yes. Like, here we go, you know? And to me, that was the peak. Then it kind of,
I agree with that.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
It's got rap. It's rappy too. Like, here's the thing: we're dealing with an artist that has unique guitar style, has a melodic style of creating background. You know, like you had, I think it was We Did It, where it has like horns in the background. A lot of different styles of music kind of combined in there, and then you come to like a song like World War III and some of these other songs. He raps. And it's almost like a poem. It's poetry rather than, you know, like your newer age kind of mumble rap that's popular right now.
And I wanted to, and it's funny because in my notes, I had, you know, the fact that he did EPs was interesting on what you said. For those of you who are like, what does this album even sound like? Because we've kind of gone over all the genres. It feels like there's 3 EPs that have been pieced together. The first EP, very upbeat, very like alternative music driven, very little rap. Then in the middle, it sounds like the same thing, but it was produced by a rap guy. The beats are very rap heavy. And the third part of the record is way more like I won't even say Machine Gun Kelly, but like it's
a metal reggae. It's got like a metal reggae feel where he kind of has these talks about a revolution, and not in a negative way. When I say that, like when reggae music talks about a revolution, it's more of like a love revolution, you know, like, and he kind of touches on this idea of, you know, it's a cycle, like this whole concept of political theater that we deal with is a cycle, and we are currently in part of that cycle, and this is how he feels about it, kind of thing, because Riptide is almost like that after effect kind of feel. That song Riptide was a good one. I think that is another one that is going to be a popular one. But when you get to the end of that album, and we have Drop Dead, and
Outro.
the outro is my favorite song on the album.
That's your favorite song, huh?
I can't stop listening to it.
This is mirrored, but
I think Drop Dead is an acoustic. It starts off with a nice acoustic guitar part. It's a little bit more singy, and it's just kind of got this almost kind of like this euphoric feel to it. Like, you know what? After I just sang this album about all this stuff that I'm passionate about and what I'm experiencing in my life, here's this song, Drop Dead, where I would rather drop dead than be a quitter kind of thing. And it's like this euphoric feeling of, you know what? It's going to be okay if we continue to strive to be the best and to be okay. You know, we can hang ourselves up on all these issues, but when push comes to shove, we all have more in common with each other than anything. You know, the chorus of that song is, "I'm a pothead, I'm a sinner." You know, like, you know, everybody has their faults, and if we stop pointing at each other's faults and start including each other and learning from each other, then we're going to hit this idea of what he brings in the outro, which is "Welcome to Paradise." And I find it interesting, Nick, that the last song is the only song that feels like he's singing to a significant other, because he talks about this is a paradise and a place where we can go and hide and be. You know, most albums are centered towards love and, you know, being with
this one is not at all.
It's not that. It is in your face, progressive, ready to kind of blow your hat off when you put it on your headphones. You know, it's not your driving on your way to work kind of jam. You know, this is a jam that you put on headphones and you kind of escape for a little bit.
Yep.
You know,
I think it was. What do you think? Okay, what do you think this record sounds like for people who've never heard this and they're wondering what the hell this thing is? What would you equate it to?
So I had a hard time because I sat and thought about that. I can't put a finger on like a style that it sounds like. But what I can kind of give the listener some insight on is the rhythm guitar parts are very 60s. They sound very rhythmic and just kind of like, you know, when they went through that musical revolution in the 60s, you know, it had this style of guitar playing that was fast and a lot of up and down strokes. It gives a very good 60s vibe, but with a new age kind of metal distortion sound to it.
It's gonna be harsh if you're used to listening to the Eagles,
right?
And you're looking for this is gonna sound like, I don't know if like Sleigh Bells was a band that came to mind when I heard it. Like too heavy, oversaturated guitars, just loud in your face.
Yeah.
Obviously the back half of the album is obviously a lot more rap-esque. I don't want to say it's not a rap album, but it's rap in the way that The Weeknd is rap. I mean, he's not really rap either.
No,
so I mean, you know,
there's moments of here
metal.
It is. Yeah, there's
a metal song.
A lot of there's even the song that has the horns go through it. It almost gives it like a 1920s kind of feel. With like a big band kind of style, but you have this kind of dubsteppy undertone to it, some growls, some different bass undertones as well, that really kind of move the songs along. I will say, from a musical standpoint, he's very smart with his drum beats. There's times throughout the songs where it feels like it's supposed to drag a little bit and kind of have like this heavy kind of headbang, but then all of a sudden it kicks into this like kind of head noddy, like, okay, like a
different thing,
jivey feel to it, you know. And he's really good at changing up the paces of the songs. He's really good at masking what the song is going to do. The song starts and it's very slow and lethargic at times, and you're almost like, okay, I feel like I've heard this song already. Then all of a sudden the chorus kicks in and it changes up a lot. Like I said, the guitar rhythmic parts are very 60s to me. The
dubstep though, we didn't mention any of that. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of electronic
yes,
influence in the record.
You can tell that this guy I don't know for sure, but I feel like he did everything. I think he played all the instruments and produced everything. I don't think he had many musicians on there because
I couldn't find any production notes on it.
yeah, I
I looked
honestly,
and I couldn't find squat.
it sounds like this guy put it together, and I appreciate that about it. Because you have moments of like, I feel like I've heard this before on this album already, but it's different enough to give you some variety. I think overall, I give this album like a 7 or 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
I think the story arc kind of gave me almost like a Coheed feel to it as well, with like the battles and the internal struggle of some of the things that he's had to deal with in his
Like
life.
pain shopping. We didn't talk about the song
Pain
about
shopping.
the pill addiction thing.
Yep.
That was interesting.
So he really does a good job of grasping the everyday American, I feel, when it comes to some of the things that we have in common when it comes to issues or things that we are struggling with as a nation. You know, I am torn between political albums because, you know, our lives are surrounded by that already. And sometimes I don't want to be subjected to that all the time. But the more I listen to it, that's not what
I don't think it's political. No, I think it's just about everyday. Like, you know, I wouldn't say that, you know, pill shopping isn't. That's not political.
That's a struggle.
There's struggles that people have. I think labeling it a political album is more about it's more about the struggles of the 27-year-old that is living right now
of today's society. I mean, Nick, you know what it was like growing up in our generation. I mean, we were taught, you know, everything's butterflies and candy bars and boom, life has hit us with a punch, and sometimes we didn't know how to react. You know, I will say I think I'll end with kind of some things that I just kind of jotted down here. I know I kind of talked about this already, but I really enjoyed the feel of a Broadway play. It really had like a story arc of a Broadway play to me. And I'm not like a Broadway musical fan by any means. I appreciate what they do. It's phenomenal that the stuff that they can do. It's just not my forte, but I appreciated this one. It gave me that feel. I wrote down for the outro because, like I said, the outro was my favorite song on the album.
I'm gonna have to give that one a couple more. I've been going through. So I've been the last couple days. I'll go song 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to Dirty, and then I just go back to 2, 3, 4, 5. I just listened to that first 4 songs.
I went through
over and
over.
Album.
I went through the album top to bottom 3 or 4 times in a row.
Yep.
And then I started to get songs stuck in my head, and it won't leave. Like, he's very catchy with his stuff. It's good. I said the album ends kind of like an ominous, calming, soothing outro, which fits nicely to the end of the album, being so abrasive. It really kind of gave me a calming, soothing feeling, but which I think is what he was going for, kind of like this feeling of hope. Like, as awful and abrasive as life can be, at the end of the day, we still have these people that we love, and we can be with them and share good times with each other. I said the outro gives album a closure that kind of brings us back down to earth, by kind of sending us up to this kind of like heaven, welcome to paradise thing. This feeling of at some point this is all going to end, whether that means your life as you know it, whether that means
hard times end too.
Life and hard times end, and when you come out of them, you come out a better person. And I appreciated that message that he gave us. But overall, I liked it a lot. Great album. First track that In Over My Head is a great song to start with. I think
so. Go check that out. If people are looking, if they're going to go over to YouTube, start with In Over My Head. I say start with, well, if you haven't heard Dirty already, that got my mom and Annette rocking.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
So yeah, Dirty, In Over My Head. I liked Left Behind. One other question for you, Ryan. Do you think his accent is real? There's some songs on here where he really has like a different, like an accent, not an accent, but the way he enunciates his words.
Yeah, you know,
he's Canadian. So he's 27 years old. He lives in LA. He moved to LA to do music. Does he have an accent, or is he using it as a tool?
He grew up. I feel like I read that he
Toronto.
grew up in Well, he was born in Toronto, but I think he grew up in New Jersey. Maybe not though. But either way, I'm torn between that because I do think that artists tend to, when they get into that singing artist mode, it's almost like their alter ego, and sometimes it makes them kind of pronounce things or their enunciation of words to be a little different.
There's a couple songs that's really heavy, and then the rest of the album, it's not there.
I'll say I think he does have a unique accent. I'll jump on board with that. Right. I don't think it's fake, but I do think it's intentional at times. I do think that.
I think it goes with the album. I think it adds a little something. So, all right, guys, that's it. If you want to check it out, I'm going to put a link in the bio for Grand Sung Death of an Optimist. We have them on Milky White vinyl for $26. I will have a link to that on my website. You can pick those up now. The record came out in December of 2020, so it's been out for 6 months. And again, another record that people just missed. And we're going to be digging a lot of these up. A lot of great talent, a lot of things that get missed. And so stay tuned. We're going to keep doing these.
I want to preface something too, because I think a lot of people that are listening, they're just trying to get me to come buy a record. I'm a impartial. I'm going to tell you exactly what I hear. I'm always going to highlight things I find good in all music. For the most part, I always try to find things that I enjoy about an artist. I'm going to definitely tell you the things that I enjoy, but I will tell you things that kind of don't sit right with me all the time. I don't love every type of music by any means. Next week we are going to review.
Let's keep it a surprise. Okay, we'll keep it a surprise.
We're going to take the next week and do another album, and we'll see you here again. I hope you guys tune in regularly. Tell your friends. Again, there's a whole world of music out there that is untapped, and we want to make sure that you are, broadening your horizons, trying some new things out. You never know what you're going to end up liking. So,
everybody likes something. Everybody likes something different. So, obviously, this one may not be for everyone. Ryan could find good in everything. Maybe the next week we'll get you on the next one, right? So,
sounds good.
Yeah. So I guess we'll see. Oh, if you like what Ryan's doing over here, he is on my buddy's podcast where they talk about just gaming.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not watching streamers stream.
No,
it's just a combo.
It's more of just we call it casual gaming. It's just kind of like people that grew up through the arcs of video gameplay. It's a lot of fun. We joke around with each other. Our next episode, we're actually doing a kind of like a draft of video games, and we're going to see who drafts the best team.
So that if you like to laugh about video game characters, and it's
a good time.
It's a good time. You don't have to be a super nerd to watch the thing. I mean, it is very accessible.
You were on our first episode, so and that was I still get I've introduced it to a few friends that are unfamiliar with our friends group, and they thoroughly enjoyed listening to you about pinball machines, and it's a good time. So a lot of good stuff coming up, guys. Thanks again for listening, and we will see you next time.
See you soon, guys.